Welcome to CPG Vibes. No scripts,
just chat.
I'm Alex Baer.
And I'm Wade Yenny.
Each episode is recorded live, and we talk all things food and beverage, and so much more.
Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com.
Now, let's vibe.
All right, welcome to episode 141 of CPG Vibes. There nothing going on this week at all, especially here in LA. It's been pretty quiet, especially right here in downtown LA. Nothing going on down there today. Wade, how's it going, buddy?
It's been a long week of travel, still jet lagged and just figuring out what time zone I'm in. So good. I'm good, though. It's good to be home and trying to return to some normalcy after a busy week.
Yeah, I actually spoke to your boss, to Luke, earlier today, and it sounds like either you guys have been doing extensive travel or he's had a lot of tequila shots because his voice, probably the former, he was just working really hard and traveling with you guys down there because his voice was going. His voice is almost gone today.
Yep, he's. I think that started a couple days ago, so I think it's any travel is taxing. So it's and he had been in France the week before as well. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So looking forward to the weekend to rest up and get back at it.
Awesome. Well, you guys hopefully had some successful travel down there, some successful meetings. I saw that picture, you guys at the table. So V Driven, going international, meeting with clients. Was it a retailer? Was it a client? Like, what was the purpose?
Our client is down there, and they had a meeting with had all sorts of ourselves. Obviously, we had presentations from our team, and then they had some presentations as well as I think someone from Georgia Tech University, someone with regards to logistics and regulations and things, and so really it was just working with their greater team to explain the American market and just talk more about the collaboration and whatnot. We did some factory tours and it was I think I got in Sunday night and flew out on a red eye Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So it was quick trip, but very, very packed full of lots of stuff. So it was a good time. It's a good time.
Awesome stuff. Awesome. Yeah. Welcome back to the States. And so, yeah, for those that, everyone knows what I was talking about earlier, but there's a parade going on right now in downtown LA for the Dodgers, who, as a majority, 99% of the world knows, they won the World Series earlier this week, 4-1. And we're not a a sports podcast or anything, but I will say, I like both teams. Obviously, I'm from LA, so I favor the Dodgers, but I also respect the Yankees, and I've been a fan of their ball club for a long time. They're not arch enemies or anything, but I got to say they really, literally, pun intended, they dropped the ball several times I think it was the 4th inning, and I turned on the game at the 4th inning, and I saw that it was 5-0, right? I think 5-0. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to push a game 6, and it's going to come back to LA. And I was like, maybe I should go buy my tickets, and it'd be fun to watch them back here at the Dodger Stadium. I was kind of like cheering for them, but I almost wanted it to be closer, to come down to game 6 or game 7 so that I could get tickets and watch it here, even though it's absurdly expensive, like over $1,000. It's a once in a lifetime experience. But anyway, in the 4th inning, they just dropped the ball left and right, and then the pitcher made a mistake where he didn't go to first, and before you knew it, they tied up, and then they went one run ahead, and that was it, and they couldn't come back from that. So it was actually a great game, but I was surprised that they just couldn't hold it together, for such a great ball club. But a lot of pressure. It's a big stage. So
right, yeah. Well, there's always next year for Cleveland, that's for sure.
So whenever you do sports talk, it always comes back to Cleveland blowing it or missing their big chance or not taking home a championship. It seems like you guys out in Cleveland just are always about the big fish that got away every single year, like how you guys failed or didn't come through.
Pretty much in every sport.
Yeah.
We're
Anyway,
consistent. We're consistent.
on that note, speaking of consistency for focus and energy, I'm going to pop open my
I've got one
melting
for
forest
you.
here.
There you
There
go.
we go.
There you go.
Same
Yep.
one? Did you get strawberry or what is it? What do you got?
Lemonade, strawberry lemonade.
I got strawberry lavender. So I got that one. I guess, yeah, you have a different colored can, but cheers to that. Thank you to Melting Forest.
Good stuff. I've got some
delicious,
water too.
Delicious. Okay, so we're going to go through kind of our laundry list item of things. The first thing I'd like to mention is we are once again, and then Wade and I, we were texting on this, but we are the number one rated CPG podcast in the world. We lost it actually for 5 or 6 days, and we got it back just in time for the show. So make sure to keep us at number one. Go to Apple Podcast, scroll down, and rate 5 stars for CPG Vibes. So we're not comfortably ahead, but we're ahead. But we want to stay ahead. So make sure, please, 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 5 stars. Grab someone's phone, steal someone's phone, buy 2 phones, buy 3 phones. Your significant other's probably asking, why do you have 2 phones? You can answer them because I'm giving 5 stars on for CPG Vibes. So the other thing too is we want to really thank our new set of sponsors for our back wall, right? And for those that the CPG Vibes regulars, I almost said regulator like that rap song. Regulars, you can see in the back wall we have some new logos and we have some new products. So we have Melting Forest, who's also the sponsor on this episode, and they've graciously sponsored the back wall. And then we have also Feel Free, and then we also have Ginger Labs as well. And if you'd like to, we do have room for one more product on there. So if you'd like to be a sponsor on the back wall, it's $350 per month, 6-month commitment, $2,100. And if you go for the full year, we'll give you at least about 10% off. So make sure to reach out to us, cpgvibes100@gmail.com, for the back wall. If you'd like to be that last, that coveted spot that people will be literally staring at. We have anywhere from 20 to 100 people on live, depending on the episode. So it's a great coveted spot. And also, if you'd like to be a sponsor in general for the show, like Melting Forest is for this show and a couple more on the block rate, we offer discounts as well. cpgvibes100@gmail.com. I'm going to speed this up because I know we want to get to our subject here. But a couple more things is we have our ongoing sponsor, which is Range Me. They have also a landing page at rangeme.com/CPG Vibes. Make sure to go there if you'd like to get 30% off, up to 30% off their memberships. From $13.99 goes down to $9.99. Their pro subscription goes down to $16.99 from $24.99. You have to fill out this form to get those savings, and you can get in front of retailers across the country, up to 15,000 different buyers that are on Range Me, and they ensure continuous exposure to retail buyers from top retailers. And those retailers include Publix, Kroger, Costco, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Target, Albertsons, H-E-B, Food Lion, Giant Foods, Fresh Market, and many, many more. But that's not all. Range Me combines the ECRM category sessions. That's Joe Tarnowski. Been missing him the last couple episodes. I know he's been traveling and such. They deliver exclusive live in-person events where you can meet directly with leading national and regional retail buyers for curated face-to-face meetings. Ready to elevate your brand? Visit rangeme.com/CPG-Vibes. And I know, Way, we've been making a big deal about this, and we'll continue to make a really freaking big deal that we have a contest running, right? We have a contest where if you fill out that form, you enter into the chance to win a free premium membership that will be awarded by the end of November. So by Thanksgiving, someone's going to be having their turkey and being on Range Me at the same time. So make sure to fill out that form. There's no obligation. You get more information from them on their packages. But you also can win a premium package. It's a no-brainer. I think, Wade, everyone you know is pretty much on Range Me. I know that Be Driven also participates on Range Me.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's a must. It's a must to be on there.
Yep, it's definitely a good way to connect with lots of people for sure. No question about it. I think I've had a couple reach outs while I was gone this week that I need to follow up on. So great stuff.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. What am I missing? We have our YouTube channel. So go to youtube.com/at CPG Vibes. And then also what's that? What was that V driven that partnership, right, with Nosh? Can you remind us what that's all about before we move to our subject?
Yeah, we just have the upcoming live event in Marina Del Rey, Nosh Live, December. I'm bringing up my notes here to make sure I haven't missed when it is, but it's November. Please hold.
Do, do,
November,
do, do, do,
right?
do, do.
Or sorry, December 5th and 6th
Yep.
at the Marina Del Rey Nosh Live. And if you go to the code that I put up here in the chat, or I will shortly, you can save, I think, $500 off attending live. So it's a great place to network. I know I attended it last year in a different capacity, but it's great emerging brands. There'll be a pitch slam. I think Luke is going to be one of the judges for the pitch slam. But there's the link there to save $500 on attending Nosh Live. But it will be out there. The V Driven team will be out there in full force. So we're looking forward to it and seeing everybody in beautiful California. It's a good time to visit in early December.
Yep. And if you're out for the Nosh event, I'm gonna do my best to make it over there. And I got to check my calendar. But if anyone is an avid golfer, and if you're out for a few days or pouring into the, let's say you're going to be here on the weekend before or after the event, hit me up on LinkedIn. I don't get out to golf as much as I used to with how busy I've become, everything going on. But would love to go out and talk CPG with you. Golf. I know some great LA courses which are impossible to get on at all times because of how busy they are. But just reach out to me by LinkedIn. So, and then we have, going back to our weekly sponsor, then we're going to go right into our subject here because that's very, very important. Is Melting Forest. We're bringing on Sean McDonald. So he is the CEO and founder of Melting Forest. He'll be coming on here around the 12:40 mark, and then also his basically works with him at Melting Forest. David Martin, I think, handles a lot of the sales there and other components of the company. So he'll be coming on about 20, 25 minutes, and they have a prize. I took the liberty, Sean, sorry, but we're going to do a prize for the winner, and you get let's call it a variety pack of Melting Forest adaptogenic mushroom drinks. So make sure to pay attention, and if you guess the right answer, and it's either a 50% chance it's Gavin or Hugh. So I think you guys and gals that are on here, let's try to beat them out because they win almost every other week. So, all right. With all that said, Wade, shall we jump in to
Let's do
our
it.
subject here?
Let's do it.
I felt compelled, and I see Derek on there. Hey, Derek, what's going on, brother? Long time no see. So I felt compelled to talk about this subject because I'm seeing a lot of either CPG brands that are shutting down or they're like asset purchases, right? Where it's very vague. Was it successful? Was there an exit? Was there money back to the investors? Did the founder really get the full value of all the work, blood, sweat, and tears they put in over several years? I mean, there was a deal that was just announced. I can't remember all the brand names, but there was Spudsy. Do you see that one? So Spudsy, they do the sweet potato fries, and also they do the potato chips, the potato puffs, and they've been around 4 or 5 years. They're national in many, many stores, and they just got acquired, but their assets got acquired, and you kind of wonder, how much money was in the transaction, or was it stock, or so. Like, there's those deals, and then there's the really successful deals, right? Like when I say, I'm not saying Spudsy was not successful, but the really like blown out 100 million plus exits. The ones that, you're talking La Colombe, and, they're in the billions or in the high hundreds of millions. But I think CPG founders are asking themselves in this environment, is it really, when should you start or not start a CPG brand, and what are you going to be in for, and what are the expectations, right? And so from my standpoint, in this environment, you got to be starting it for the right reasons. And that's honestly with an expectation that you may never exit. That should be the first expectation. You should build a brand to last, build it as a legacy, and know that your preference is at some point, for some or most, I should say, is you want to exit and make a good amount of money for all the effort and time and resources you put in. But a lot of times you don't get the exit you're looking for, and either you got to keep running the company, or maybe go for, like, selling it, but at a lower value than what you wanted. So it's tricky. And so I think the right reason to me to start a CPG brand is you got to love the product, you got to be in love with your brand, and know that it's a legacy that wants to print money, make profit, and build it over a long period of time. And when you build a brand over a long period of time with the aspirations of, building a great brand that's profitable, typically the people find you, right, to buy you. They knock on your door to acquire you. And you're not even looking to sell, maybe, right? Like you're like, I'm loving this. It's profitable. I'm having fun. I have a good team. I've built a great brand, and maybe I don't want to sell. And so when you come from that position of power, you have a lot more negotiating, more leverage in these meetings if someone does want to buy you, versus what happens to a lot of CPG brands, where you run out of money and then you're desperate, and then you're racing around and you're trying to get acquired because you're burned out from trying to raise money over and over and over again. And I think a lot of founders go through that, unfortunately. So you have to ask yourself, first off, why am I starting this, and what's my goal for the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? So anyway, Wade, what do you think about all
Yeah,
this?
I think so. I think if you're getting into it just simply to make money, I feel like there's probably some easier, more not guaranteed, but easier and better chances out there to make money than this business. This business is certainly a marathon, not a sprint, and I feel like those that get into it with the concept of simply just making money, especially right out the gate, probably have a rude awakening around the corner, because it does take time. We have this conversation regularly with brands that we work with, and just in general, with regards to how long it takes to get traction, right? And I keep coming back to the same statement over and over and over again. When you're talking about larger retail chains, even if you get a yes today, realistically you're looking at 5 to 6 months before there's execution on shelf. So it takes, it takes time, and that's just one win, right? And if you start thinking about multiple wins and building it out, what that looks like, it's a lot. And I see that comment from Michael Levine in the chat with regards to Rowdy Mermaid. I've not heard anything about Rowdy
Yeah.
Mermaid. Have you?
Yeah. I heard through the grapevine, through some trusted sources, that, they were going through a lot. And then I don't know if they officially went out, I've heard through the grapevine, maybe they're looking for ways to keep it going. I don't know the details on it just yet. I'm sure there's going to be newswire items that are hitting, but that's what I've heard thus far, is that they have been struggling and looking for ways to continue the business. So, but I still see it on shelf. So I don't know. I don't know.
The other one interesting. I hadn't heard anything about that. The other thing that I've seen over the last, call it 2, maybe 3 weeks, is Bang Energy's one of their founders and the former CEO, Jack Owak. Do you remember
Mhm.
Bang?
Yep.
Is coming out with a new energy drink. This time it's called AI Energy.
Yeah.
And
Heard
that
of that.
came out. I was going to say that came out a couple weeks ago as well. So, and talk about a tough area to category to try and start in, is drinks, let alone energy drinks. That's a tough one. So, but going back as far as the greater conversation, it's about, we talked a little bit, I believe last week, if not the week before, with regards to runway, as far as how much money you need, and ideally in a perfect world, profitability. What does that look like? What kind of margins do you need? You have to, if you're talking about starting a brand or maintaining a brand, all those things should be in your scope, or your vision, as far as how to make it successful, right? That profitability. What does that look like? What do your margins look like, Alex? And I know you probably have your own feeling as far as that goes as well.
Yeah. I mean, with margin, I mean, there's something that was posted. I can't remember where it was, but basically you got to be at 60% plus, margin or higher, just to be able to, hopefully cover your expenses. But there's a few comments here, right, that I think are really, really good and very relevant to what we're talking about, right? We got Derek's. If you build it, they will come. I thought there was a Field of Dreams. Apparently, it's Alex. There's so much truth in this because the brands that are able to really manage their P&L well and be profitable, they're just going to get so many more opportunities down the road. Did you see that post from Ryan O'Donnell of Solti? He posted this morning saying, I'm not sure what he was referring to, but I'm looking for brands that are profitable with a 8 million and up run rate. I'm not sure why, but maybe acquisition, maybe partnership, maybe investment. But it's just highly sought after. And it goes back to, there have been brands in the last year that have gone out of business doing over 100 million in revenue because they're not profitable, right? And it's not appealing. And there's becoming more and more of these CPG brands that are 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. Yeah, it looks really impressive if you're in an investor meeting saying, yeah, we're at 20 million in sales or 30 million. But then when you peek under the hood and see that there's a lot of skeletons in the closet, and you're like, well, you're losing $1 million a year, $2 million a year, and it's going to take a lot more money to fund this, to grow it with all the competition and inflation, and it becomes not so much of a pretty story. And then another comment here from Jeff Likovsky. I think in general, any business built on the intention solely to sell, it is rarely going to succeed. Not enough skin in the game. And I mean, you look at brands, we can talk about this all day, Wade, but you look at Lesser Evil, right? I mean, they've been around for 12 years plus, at least. You look at Guru Energy, right? I mean, they've been around for a long time. And there's plenty of others. And then the problem is a lot of CPG founders see kind of the poster child, right? Like the golden one, the RX bar, or the one that just sold to Dr. Pepper. What was that one? It just sold recently. I'm trying to remember which one that was. But the brand literally just sold to Dr. Pepper. But like these brands built, and help me guys in the comments, but these brands just built, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, even 7, 8 years, and sold for over 100 million. That's becoming more and more of a unicorn type status. So anyway, not to be repetitive.
Ghost energy.
And they built it over 8 years. So, which is pretty short time span for doing what they did in revenue. And also probably, I didn't see the number, but they probably sold for at least $500 million, I would imagine, maybe even more. And so those are few and far between. So it goes back to it. It's good to be driven long-term by an exit, but don't be driven by money from the start. Be driven by passion, changing people's lives, making a great product, and getting it out there and building a new category, right, to get people on. So
Definitely.
Anyway, what other comments we have here? That's what we do at least when I run out of things to talk about. But we have Robert Kogan. Gross is not net. And it seems all we hear about is a gross revenue. Bit of a bubblegum festival. Yeah, I can't agree more with that. And then there's one more here. Okay.
This one up here?
Yeah, maybe I missed it. Yeah, so there it is. The 10-year overnight success is now the 4-year fully calculated exit. And just the part that people also don't realize is how much fucking money it takes to build a brand. I mean, to build it in 5 years, like this company, great brand, great product, Breeze, right? You know that we both got the packages. They have THC, CBD, and I probably shouldn't have given those out at my son's birthday party. Was not a good idea to the parents, but I I did. My son just turned 2, by the way, on October 30th.
Yeah.
Thanks. Lot. Yeah, he turned day before Halloween plus the night of. I think it was Wednesday, right, when the Dodgers won this World Series, I believe. So he turned 2 on the same night that the Dodgers won. Is pretty cool. But anyway, I don't know how I got off subject on that. So going back to it, Breeze, BREZ. I mean, they're probably pumping every time you search for mushrooms or THC or CBD, like their ad pops up on Google ads or on Instagram. So, I mean, from what I've heard through the grapevine, they were putting in 6, sometimes 7 figures a month into social media paid ads. So it takes a lot of money to build a brand, especially when you're in a crowded category or whether it's energy. And that's kind of the, I don't know, Wade. I mean, I want to hear your thoughts, but like if you don't have the money to really pump it and you got to get it out there for people to try, what do you do? Like, how do you get this out there in a way that doesn't cost a tremendous amount of money? Because it's hard to raise money in this environment.
Yeah, well, I think if you don't have money, you probably need to pause and figure that piece out, because it's I think of, you talked about raising money and talking about investors and whatnot, and so as you're building distribution, if you're constantly going back to try and fund the distribution that you're acquiring, that's problematic, right? I mean, that's kind of like a rabbit hole. It's going to be hard pressed to get out of. And Luke's comment here is about not having the right product, the right time, the right packaging, the right retail. All those things factor
Shoot
in
the moon.
because
Shoot the moon.
certainly you want to establish your price point and look at what it takes to scale, and the cost effectiveness that comes with that. But initially, if you're bringing something out and you have to look at that price point and it makes sense, you have to be competitive within the category every day, not to mention with promotions. And we can go talk about promotions all day long, as far as what the expectations are. And that's not going away. And some categories obviously are more price sensitive than others with regards to promotions. The rule of thumb at most of the places I've been is you want to see some kind of promotional activity once a quarter. But in some categories, it might be once every 2 months, and I'm a big proponent of being wise with promotions and being very smart as far as scheduling goes and establishing a price point. And with promotions, you have to be very careful not to uh, devalue your brand, and so that the customer is only buying it on promotion. And I think that goes back into this whole conversation with, as you're starting a brand, should you start a brand, is what is your category, what does promotional activity look like within that category, and how does that factor into your overarching goal of trying to establish the brand? And from a funding perspective, are you prepared for that?
Yep. And most brands are not prepared. They're not prepared in two ways. They're not prepared with the proper marketing dollars, and they're really not prepared to take advantage of all opportunities if they're presenting. I know we talked about this, I believe, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, where if you're going to be pitching to a retailer, make sure you have the capital to actually make the product, right? If they do say yes, you don't want to do a 180 and kind of break the trust with that retailer. But for all those reasons, cash flow, the biggest thing we mentioned this so much on the show is to analyze cash flow and say, if I get these accounts, here's how much money I'll need for making the product, the raw materials, the production, the tolling, the marketing, logistics, trucking, hiring people, hiring salespeople, hiring merchandisers. Like, you got to know the true cost of doing business, or you're going to run out of money. You can't make the product. You're going to lose retailers. Then you'll be out of business. And
There's a
that's,
Yeah, absolutely. Good comment here from Gavin responding to Luke. And I love what he says here. Imagine if you have the right product in the wrong retailers or the wrong product in the right retailers, either of those instances, with the wrong packaging or wrong marketing, and then scaling it nationally. It's just a dumpster fire at that point. And I know
yep.
Robert had a comment with regards to revenue per employee, which is kind of interesting. We don't talk a lot about that. Wouldn't we love to know the true revenue metric, and then the special spends that are critical to sales and growth? Those are sometimes phantom numbers or dependent on the trade spend. And then we've got models in the past where to operate organic growth over time, legit net with increasing revenue. And I think we have one other comment here with regards to revenue per employee. And I'm missing it now, but revenue per employee, Alex. And I know you've talked about how lean and mean you were in the past here. Jeff's comment. We started looking RPE when vetting potential clients. What's your experience with revenue per employee? Is that something you looked at in your business, or is it something potentially that you wish you would have looked at?
Yeah, and to be very honest, right, I could sit here and pretend that I'm really knowledgeable on the subject, but we never got that deep into it, and we probably should have, and we should have been more analytical about it. Most of the people or the team members that were with Genius Juice when I ran it, For the first few years, there was really no one except me and the co-founder doing everything, right? But eventually, in like year 5 and 6, like the Shark Tank era, I brought on, someone more on a full-time basis to do operations, and then other people. We didn't really truly look at that metric because we had so many consultants and so many part-time people in the Philippines, people in Colombia and other areas to save money. But I don't know a lot about it. But if anyone does, please comment
It's a
on
good
here.
top. It's a good topic, and I think what you said though is a good model and something we talk about all the time with regards to it's more potentially more cost effective to hire and outsource that, whether you talk about on a fractional perspective
Hundred
or
percent.
fractional basis, and that can apply to any avenue of your business, whether you're talking about sales and marketing, whether you're talking about operations, whether you're talking about supply chain, sales and brand management, a service that we offer, all those things, you can potentially hire someone till you're ready to have an employee come on. When you talk about employees, you're talking about the salary, the benefits, all those things where until you're ready, you can hire someone on a fractional basis to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And more than likely, you're going to be an expert in that position and lower risk. And then as you start to scale, you can build out that team as as it makes sense. So.
Yeah, I think this could be a whole episode, like you said, and I think it was so well said. But it's good to have when you first start out, you're really the founder's doing a tremendous amount. But if you can get some of that off your shoulders, so you number one, you don't burn out and ruin your health. But number two, as a founder or CEO, you can focus on sales, marketing, and also raising capital. Getting fractional salespeople is a very tricky dance because you get someone, let's say, that is working with 3 brands or 4 brands, right? Are they going to give you the attention that you need, right? When you're especially starting out. But then obviously there's the benefits where you pay them a lot less than if you paid a full-time director of sales.
Right.
So there's my answer to that is finding the right people or the right
Right.
team,
Exactly.
whether it's V driven, right, that can do master sales and plenty of other things, whether it's an individual you meet at a trade show that you trust and and they've done great things and they work with 3 brands. Either way, it all comes down to finding the right people, because you pay someone 1,000 or 5,000 a month or 10,000, it doesn't matter if they're not going to do the work and build your brand. I'm going to take a pause here because we're going to mention our sponsors and we're going to bring on Melting Forest. They've been super patient in the mushroom room over there. I can see Sean is in, and David's in the car green room over there. So we're going to bring both of them on in a couple minutes here. So guys, get ready, take your sip of Melting Forest, and we'll get this party started. So just want to re-mention here, if you'd like to be a sponsor on this back wall, right? If you have an emerging brand, we have tons of eyeballs. It's not just me and Wade's eyeballs on here. We have anywhere from 20 to 100 people on live on each of these LinkedIn Live episodes, right? So high visibility. We mention you, maybe not in every episode, but many episodes. We also will drink your product or eat your product if you want to send it to us. That's what we're doing with Melting Forest here because they're one of our newest backwall sponsors. And we also have the block rates. And we also want to give a shout out. Speaking of Melting Forest, they are the weekly sponsor. They're going to be giving a prize, which Sean will talk about. And clear your porch. He's going to send you a prize. And stay tuned to the end of this episode. We're going to mention something in this episode. And then you have to answer the trivia question and you'll win some Melting Forest. And we have our ongoing sponsor, which is Range Me. They have over 15,000 buyers for continuous exposure to retail buyers from top retailers like Target, Albertsons, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Publix, Kroger, Costco, Wegmans, HEB, and it's on and on and on. Go to rangeme.com/CPG vibes. You fill out that form, you get entered into a contest to win a free premium membership worth $1,000. And by filling out that form, you're just asking for information. They don't ask for social security. They don't ask your mother's maiden name. They don't ask for any of that stuff. They're just asking, hey, what's your name? What's your company? Let's talk. That's all they ask, right, Wade? I believe.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and your email, obviously, because they got to contact you. But not your home address. They don't get that personal. Not yet. All right. So with all that said, I think I covered it, right? We can bring on
Let's do it.
our weekly sponsor here and great friends over at Melting Forest. So one guy is in the forest, right? We can see him. That's Sean McDonald. He's the CEO and founder of Melting Forest. Then we have David Martin, who's also on his team, and he handles a bunch of stuff for him, including sales, activations, and events. So let's bring him on. Here they are. All right, thanks for being patient, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, no problem at all. Doing
Oops.
great. Doing great.
Okay. Looks like there's some background noise, so David will figure that out. How's it going, buddy? How you doing,
Going
Sean?
good. Going great. Drinking my Melting Forest as well. Great way to de-stress on a Friday.
I gotta ask first because I first really got to know you at the Beverage Forum event, right around there. Is I remember pulling up and seeing a Cybertruck in the parking lot, and then I looked closer and I saw mushrooms on the Cybertruck, and then I looked closer and I saw your logo on there. So, what's the story behind the Cybertruck, and like what have you been doing with it? What kind of activations? I'm curious to hear more.
Yeah, so the Cybertruck was something I ordered 4 years ago, when I didn't have the vision of Melting Forest. So that was not, marketing dollars that were supposed to be spent for it. But it's my personal vehicle. I've always been a fan of electric cars, had them for going back 10 years, even built an electric bus back in high school. So always been a fan of it. But had the opportunity to get the Cybertruck early. I was one of the lucky ones. It came in end of December, January, and I figured what better way to have a moving billboard than slapping on a big hunk of metal rolling down the street, a big refrigerator. So worked out great. You tip a couple guys at different events, you get to throw it up front, and it's a really good wow factor, really showcasing the brand and what we're trying to do. So myself, just like you say, we have a very lean and mean team. So I take that to the events I can in Southern California. I like to go there, get the feedback from the consumers, see how they like the product, what we got to tweak, what we got to adjust, packaging, flavoring, really get nitty gritty with everybody, because we run a very lean and mean operation as well. You have to in this industry. It's completely changed. Investment dollars are hard to find. So we're very lean and mean, and making sure every dollar is accounted for correctly, and all our team is activating, and we're also constantly on brand. So you can see with my background, with our demo days, all of it, there's mushroom in our products. If you don't, you're blind.
Yep. And the product itself, tell us a little bit about it, just for those that have never tried it, some new activations, retailers that you're launching in. I mean, the product, here's the first thing I notice about it, at least when I taste it. It's not overly sweet. It has just a little tad bit of sweetness so that it goes down easy, but it's not sugary at all. It actually says 0 sugar on the top of the can here. But tell us about it, how you came up with it, and also your background with CBD living, which I said beyond CBD last week. That was a misspeaking, but with CBD living, tell us about that, and then tell us about the product.
Yeah, so CBD Living was started 10 years ago with myself, my partner, Bill, that passed away sadly this past July. But we started CBD Living together, in the industry. And, it was about, bringing CBD to the masses in a way that was, in your face, integrated with your everyday life. And that's what we did with CBD Living. Same idea. CBD Living was the name of the brand. It was right on the can. It was hard to hide from retailers that CBD was in the product, so it was right in your face. And with that, we launched in over 5,000 stores across the country, heavily in the smoke shop alternative category. We brought in technology behind it with nanotechnology. I have my own nano lab here in Corona, where we emulsify the CBD to help the bioavailability of the product in over 100 different SKUs. But from the knowledge of that company is still viable today. I'm in the corporate headquarters here in Corona, but from the knowledge of it, we learned a couple things. The categories of, not just, CPG, but smoke shop industry, alternative, even parts of healthcare, chiropractic, different areas, and learned, okay, how can we make a product that, one, we could finally get into mass retail? As we know, a lot of the big retailers still weren't bringing in CBD products. Even now, throughout COVID and all that, CBD, unfortunately, is not as strong as it once was, and retailers are kind of tired of getting samples in the mail. So we took the knowledge of this alternative category, blending in the science side of it as well, because even though we were nanotechnology, it was very hard to educate the consumer about that, especially at a national level, even more so in the smoke shop category. So we said, okay, what can we do with a new brand, a new idea? Use our relationships, our canning relationships, our flavor relationships, things that are hard to get for a startup, but we have that background to help bring down our COGS, which is a big thing. We look towards an exit, but we focus on the daily expenses to stretch the dollar as much as possible. But we looked at how can we be fun, vibrant, flavorful, and functional. So the fun is the branding. We wanted to be in your face about the mushrooms, the way CBD Living was called CBD Living. You knew CBD was in the product. Same idea here, in your face about it, looking at the different categories of life, whether it's energy, the energy consumer, how we can give you a natural functional energy with caffeine, organic caffeine, pairing in lion's mane cordyceps. But a step further, we use clinically studied mushrooms in efficacious doses. So you actually get the benefits behind these mushrooms, along with other ingredient partners down to our rhodiola, our L-theanine. We're using clinically studied doses of these products. So not just for, on the label to say what it does, you actually get a functional benefit. And that's how we're kind of blending in, where the consumer may not understand a trademark branded version of an ingredient, but we know based on taking the dose in the cans that you're actually going to get a benefit. Pair it with flavoring, pair it with, the colorful background. We're going to get consumer to come back to us. And that's what the goal was, to feel the effects of the product, whether it's the energy or we flip it into the de-stress, where you take that in the morning or evening, to start the day. I took one before the podcast because I'm not the biggest fan of going on podcasts, but I've got to get out of my comfort zone. So Melting Forest is helping with that. But that was the idea, keep it fun, flavorful, functional, and appeal to the masses. I mean, mushrooms, as we know, are hot. I myself was walking Supply Side West this past week, landed this morning from Vegas, because why? I'm always looking for the next trends, the right ingredient partners, and working with them so we can blend the science side of it with the fun side of it.
Nice. Very well said. Very well said. Yeah. No, I think it kind of pairs just the efficacy, science-backed, formulated well, and then on top of that, I think, Robert was saying here in the comments, and here we popped it up here, they're too good to really, not only on the truck, but also in the set. You can't miss it. It's so loud, yet it's very high quality. It's not loud and annoying. It's loud and high quality, and it brings you in out of curiosity, be like, what is this? What's in this? What is this about? And like you said, mushrooms are in it. So we only have a couple minutes. I did want to mention Start Engine in your campaign, but before that, just David, since you've been sitting in the room quietly, patiently, I should say, and quietly.
You're good. You're good.
Tell us a little bit about you, what you do for Melting Forest, and we'll go into your crowdfunding campaign. That's just hit a major milestone here for Melting Forest.
For sure. No, I appreciate that. So I am the Chief Revenue Officer at the company, basically Sean's right hand. And as he had mentioned, we're running this thing extremely lean and mean. Literally, it's just he and I, a couple people in the office, and then we've also partnered with CA Fortune. They are a national broker that we brought on, and they're assisting with a lot of the blocking and tackling and handling a lot of the administrative work, especially when it comes to putting out the presentations and putting together all of our ads and things that sort, and even creating the ROI between or behind the retailers and partners that we align with. So we really appreciate them, but really it's just a matter of lean and mean. My background goes 28 years in, mainly startups. I cut my teeth with RC Cola in Chicago on the DSD trucks many years ago. So really got to understand the lay of the land from a route to market standpoint from the very beginning, and then have been aligned with many very successful brands and other brands that were successful for a moment or for a time, but we just had to wind down. And a handful of those were Sobe, which we exited into Pepsi, and Fuse and NOS energy drink, which we exited into Coke. Pop Chips was another brand. Voss Water was another brand. Most recently, before I came on board over here, was Rowdy Energy. I know that Rowdy Mermaid Kombucha came up in conversation a little bit earlier. Rowdy Energy was absolutely fantastic. And I always state myself that Rowdy Energy was a perfect example that you can have a perfect storm. You can have the A-lister behind the brand, which we had Kyle Busch, who was the owner of the company, the CEO, Jeff Church, founder of Suja, very notable within the CPG industry, and plenty of money and plenty of investment behind it, and a really great product. However, it doesn't matter how well your distribution is. It doesn't matter how great all of the other things are in the background. If your brand doesn't resonate with the consumer, if you're not getting that pull through, it doesn't matter what you do. And while it was an absolutely fantastic brand, we had an amazing team. Within 18 months, we signed up the top 6 grocers across the country and the top 6 C-store operators across the country, and picked up 25,000 points of distribution within the first 18 months during COVID, with not a single live meeting, and it just didn't work for whatever reason. And I put a lot of pride behind the brands that I represent and that I assist on the build out. And most importantly, I take key learnings from every single one of them. And I come in and I enter a brand and say, listen, there's a lot of wisdom that I can share with this. But most importantly, I'm really focused on delivering the message and the mission behind the brand. And I'm making sure that we can cut through whatever red tape and block and tackle the fastest that we can, because we all know, honestly, with it, especially within the space, it's not the big that swallows the small, it's the fast that swallows the slow, right? So really, when it comes down to building this brand, or any brand for that matter, I try to be very strategic and have a very strategic plan and meditate and focus solely on that strategic plan with the ability to pivot overnight. And that's what a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of brand owners, they don't necessarily know how to pivot overnight, or they don't build a plan B. And plan B sometimes can almost set you up for failure of plan A, but you always have to have a consideration for a different opportunity outside of what your current plan is. Because if the plan doesn't work and you're not ready to pivot, guess what, man? C'est la vie.
Wow. I think from listening to both you, I think when we have one of our master series or expert series special edition, we're bringing one or both you guys back on here, because there's so much wisdom and experience that you've picked up from all the years of being in the beverage business and or running companies, right? Like Sean, like you have with CBD Living. And I think these are gems that you're sharing right here on this show. And it's crazy. I mean, that's another episode in its entirety, but it's crazy that they had everything going for it for Rowdy, and for whatever reason, it just something didn't connect long term to get people to buy it. And it's sometimes, honestly, luck and hard work, right? It's not just hard work. And you got to get a little lucky at some point, right?
That's it. Mom always said sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Exactly right. That's my golf mantra for sure. Okay, so with all that said, we're out of time, but it would be remiss, right, Sean, to not mention the Start Engine crowdfunding campaign. We'll go for about a minute here to talk about it, but essentially I'll start. It's pun intended, startengine.com/offering/melting forest. startengine.com/offering/melting forest. Or you can just Google Start Engine Melting Forest, and they're raising capital, right, for their next growth phase. Sean already talked a lot about that, and they're super lean and mean. Every dollar, every cent's going to go to growth with this company and how they're expanding across the country with an awesome adaptogenic mushroom drink. And they just hit a major milestone today. Literally, I think like 3 hours ago, you hit 25,000, Sean. So,
yep.
And David, so congratulations on that. But tell us, maybe, I know we're out of time, but a minute on why you're raising the capital, what it's going to go to, and how you can invest, and what the minimum is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, David, I'll be leading on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, the main purpose of this is build out of the company and build out of the brand. At the end of the day, we all know that slotting fees are absolutely required for 90% of the retailers across the country. And even once you get into your slotting fees and you're on the shelf, well, now you've got a budget, especially in the upstart phases, first 2, 3, 4 years of a build out of a company, you have to budget anywhere between 20 to 35% from a trade spend perspective. And that's just strictly trade spend. That's strictly just your discount on the shelf. That doesn't include the actual cost of the ad. That doesn't include the actual cost of the TPR and things of that sort. And if you're going broadline like we are, there's still slotting dollars even to open up the different DCs from the wholesalers themselves. So a lot of the funding is strictly just going to be going into supporting our retailers, supporting our customers, whether it be in store from a field marketing perspective, or even when it comes down to event marketing. Now, from a fundraising perspective, we're looking at minimum investment about $500. And I mean, that's just going to give you a piece of the company. And there are a lot of people out there that they can't be an angel investor, right? They can't come with the endowment of 100 or 500, even $1 million. But if you want to be part of something that's truly on trend and has been noted as one of the most beautiful packages on the shelf that actually just very eye-catching and brings you in, here's your opportunity. And you can come in for just that small investment of $500 and say that you are part of the growth, you are part of the journey, and you are part of the dream.
Love it. Very well said. And for those that are watching right now and they're not listening after the fact, just showed just the Start Engine page, a little preview of that. So go on there, invest $500 minimum. You can be part of this great story and brand. You can be your immediate. This is not Kickstarter where, you know, they send you a free, you know, gadget in the mail or something for investing. Like, they will send you bona fide great perks. And on top of that, you're getting actual equity in Melting Forest. So it's a great opportunity. And I helped them on the page as well. And I was their consultant and continue to be their consultant for crowdfunding on their campaign. And it's off to a really big start. Within a couple weeks, they're already at 25,000. That's very fast. So make sure to support, invest, and get some equity in Melting Forest. So we're going to go to our prize here. Sean, or David, I took the liberty of it. I'm sure you don't mind, because more cans in hands is good, and more liquid to lips is better. So yep. So what prize would you like to give out here for one lucky winner?
Yeah, we'll give them a full Melting Forest assortment, and a mixture of energy, de-stress, our mushroom coffee, which we haven't spoken about, as well as our mushroom gummies. Give them a nice little roundup with stickers, shirts, all of it. They will be branded out. Clear
your porch, people. Clear your porch. When I came back, when you sent the care package, I almost tripped over it. It was, I think the HOA is like, they sent me a letter saying, "Can you please clear your porch?" So thank you for being so generous, Sean, and we're enjoying it. And my friends really enjoyed it we were rocking it. We had functional mushroom drinks at my son's birthday party. We had CBD drinks. The parents were in a great mood on the way out. So, all right, with all that said, the tradition is we ask a question. We pick something from this episode that we talked about or referenced. Wade, do you have a question, or maybe Sean, something mentioned?
I was going to say I don't have one ready, but if
I don't have one either.
Sean or David, dude, let's go for it.
Sean, I'm gonna let you do it. And the only reason why I say that is I was very challenged with service while I was picking up my daughter at school. So I cut out half of it. I missed half the episode, unfortunately.
You've been like in 3 different places while you were in the waiting room.
Exactly.
So Sean, do you have one? If not, I'm racking my brain here. I'm
trying to think what we pulled from this episode.
Okay, something that we said in the beginning, Wade. Okay, I got this is a great one. How old is my son now? What age did he turn?
That's an easy one, right?
Yeah. Give you a clue. He's not an adult yet. The answer is Cybertruck.
Nice.
That's a great answer, and you should almost get something for that, because
I think we might have to send out a second prize.
Oh, man.
It is my mobile office, so I'm a little attached to it.
Gavin had a chance to win. I think he's purposefully not the right answer, because he knows he's already won a bunch of times. All right, what age is my son now this week? Wow. Nope. It's not 1, and it's not 3, and it's not 5. I think we might stump them, Wade.
I thought that was an easy one. I can answer. I can use some more Melting Forest. I just got some, but I'll keep drinking it.
You're blowing through it. I just had some. I took a walk on the beach for an hour, and so I had some this morning. There we go. I don't know. Gavin should almost be penalized and not win for guessing the wrong answer first. But
there we go. Gavin got it.
Yeah, Gavin got it. All right. Yeah, that's our new catchphrase. Gavin got it. All right. So, Gavin, make sure to email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. And Sean and David and the team will get some Melting Forest out to you eminently, I'm sure. And make sure a 7. Okay, it's already been guessed. It's done. It's done. And also make sure to invest. Go to their Start Engine page, startengine.com/offering/Melting Forest. $500 minimum. You get equity in Melting Forest. And then we have our ongoing sponsor, which is Range Me. And you can go to rangeme.com/CPG Vibes. Get access to over 15,000 buyers. And then, Wade, we have our show next week here. and I'm going to look it up here. So we have our expert series. We had to move it. We had a scheduling conflict. So sorry for any confusion out there. As you can see, we didn't really talk about social media. But next week, it's going to be all about TikTok, Instagram, TikTok Shop, Instagram marketing, paid ads. We're bringing on Mark Ross, who's a major expert in TikTok Shop, major expert. And then we have Adam Brown, who has been a guest on here before, to talk about social creative and what to do there. So, yeah, I guess that's
a fun show.
It'll be great. It'll be great. And our sponsor next week is Social Nature. So, first off, Sean, David, thank you for sponsoring us with the back wall, with the show. And I'm hoping that this campaign continues to surge as it has been. And thank you guys for joining us here.
For sure. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
All right, everyone. So we'll see you next week on CPG Vibes, 12 o'clock, 3 p.m. Eastern. Wade, take care, buddy. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
See you.